Well, today I want to talk to you about polymers, plastics, and temperature. But before we get into temperature and polymers, let's talk about just polymers in general. Well, first of all, polymers, they're long chains of atoms or molecules. Now, usually those long chains are, either carbon or silica. And they're very, very strong. And you have several long chains together, but they're also what we call cross-linked or cross-bonded. And so you might visualize them as like netting like this, in that they're very strong this way, but they also have some strength this way, and makes them rather flexible and oh so useful. We use polymers in oh so many products. Everything from, especially in science, like plastic tubing, soft drink bottles, petri dishes, and the ubiquitous milk or juice container. So let's look at these things. They're tough, flexible, strong, and practically indestructible in nature. They hang around forever and ever and ever. And now let's talk about what happens when we heat up those molecules or cool the molecules in a polymer. Well, if you cool molecules in a polymer, they slow down. And they tend to get very, very, very brittle if you get them very, very cold. So something like this pop bottle, if you get it really, really cold, it doesn't take much of a blow and it'll shatter. Okay? But what about heat? Now, heat is kind of unique because heat does a couple of things. Because there's more than one kind of plastics. There are what we call thermoset plastics like this, and if you heat them, they just eventually start to burn, like these petri dishes. They're thermoset. Now there are other plastics. Well, they're a little more flexible when you heat them, and so let's just see what happens. We'll do a little experiment. So now I'd like to take a milk jug, and we're going to apply some heat using a heat gun. It's probably a good time to put on your goggles, your safety goggles, and let's just see what happens. Pretty cool. Is that what you thought was going to happen? Well, heat the plastic and the molecules become more and more active. The plastic becomes more and more viscous, which is just, you might want to think of it as it becomes more fluid. And as you know, fluids flow, just like air flows, just like water flows. So plastics, if you heat them, they become more fluid-like, unless, of course, they're thermoset. And if they're thermoset, they'll burn. So go ahead and play around with some plastics. It'll be a lot of fun.